Welcome to Box Out Banter, where we took a couple of weeks off, but there's still a lot to talk about. But what's going on, Jordan?
It is definitely the off season for our pod because we've had a few week period. We've had a few week period.
Well, I mean, it's not as pressing, and like, life's busy. My daughter started school this week. It's just been crazy.
Congrats again, by the way.
Yeah.
I know it's always a special occasion when dads have their first day of school for their kids. So I'm always happy to see my friends happy.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. So, fun fact, and if we figured that today, we figured this out today, that so my daughter made very quick friends with the little girl in kindergarten, and so they've been kind of inseparable. Like they're walking out of school holding hands every day, so it's very cute. So of course, me and my wife got to know the little girl's parents. So we were talking today, and I was wearing my Laker gear today, and he was like, "Oh, you're a Laker fan?" So we were talking Lakers and talking some basketball, as you do. And he brought up casually that his wife works for Uninterrupted, the LeBron James production company.
What the?
And I was like, oh.
Oh wow. So your daughter's already better at cultivating sources than you were starting out in the industry.
Absolutely. I was like, Samantha, you make friends, you keep this little girl as one of your best friends forever.
You could ask how LeBron's high ankle sprain is doing. It seems like he's doing well. Posting some washed king memes today, or hashtag wash king today, with the I don't know if you saw that, but I guess there was that annual executive poll or whatever, asking who the best player in the world was, and of course nobody voted for LeBron, and then LeBron took offense to it, and then there was it's funny because sometimes you can go down stupid Twitter rabbit holes and stuff, and like just to see like Laker fans get mad at the poll, and then people get mad at the reaction to the poll when people are like, "Oh, here's LeBron doing this again," and then they're like, "Wait, what?"
The only issue that I have is that LeBron didn't get a single vote. To me, at least one person's got to think LeBron's still the best player in the world. But I understand it.
Yeah, but I also understand. Look, like Michael Jordan, like got mad at the dumbest things to self-motivate himself. When you're like that great of a player, I do get both sides of it. I know that's boring. Like it's like, okay, LeBron, like nobody, like it's like I think Twitter's like 90% straw man arguments, and I think LeBron's app operates like that sometimes, where it's like it's a straw man thing. But I also get like when you're that great, you need any little motivation you could get, because LeBron's done everything at this point in his career, and it's like, okay, well, you think I'm washed? All right then. But I do think the washed king is a little corny, because LeBron is kind of historically corny. I'm not gonna lie. He's a great player. I love watching him play and stuff. But I guess I get both sides of it. But it was just entertaining to see, nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I like it when players Kobe did this, Jordan did this. Like I like the small little just things that motivate you.
And like, see, that might be my favorite tweet from a basketball player.
Yes,
ever.
Absolutely. Like I love that kind of stuff. And so LeBron being really honest, and this is what I've noticed since he's been a Laker, he's gotten and since we won that championship, he's been very open. Like this is the most open and honest that we've seen LeBron, because I think he's hit a point in his career where he's like, I don't give a shit anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you've reached that pinnacle, like, and also he's going to be 37, like the filter kind of goes away a little bit, and the guardedness goes away. But whatever you need to motivate yourself, that's why he is at that. That is why he is at that level. And it kind of I guess we should. I want to transition to the other hot Twitter topic really quick, because I have a take that I want to get off my chest. The Kevin Durant and Draymond Green stuff. Speaking of great players who have reached pinnacles and are kind of like at the not give a shit stage.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts first. So, did you see the whole interview, or did you just see that 3-minute clip about the?
No, I saw the whole interview.
Yeah, I watched the whole interview this morning. What were your thoughts on it?
I like when players are really honest with each other and like really, really honest on what they're, on what the topics are, and they're not holding anything back. Like that's why I love just having two players sit and talk. Like the
Like shoot
all
the
of this,
shit.
just shoot the shit and like
I do like that.
Talking about like the Shaq Kobe stuff is great. The Magic Isaiah one, the D Wade and
the D Wade and Kevin Garnett one.
Yeah, that one was great. They did another one, the Grant Hill and J Kidd. Was it J Kidd?
I don't remember that one. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, but like I love all these just sit downs, and so
Kevin Garnett. But sorry, not to interrupt you, but Kevin Garnett on the Bill Simmons podcast, he even admitted like before that Dwayne Wade interview, like the Celtics and the Heat don't fuck with each other.
Yeah,
and he was like, I even told D Wade before this, like this, I still don't fuck with you, pretty much, pretty much. And D Wade was like, hey, I understand, and they did and then I watched that interview again after that podcast, and I was like, oh, I could see it now. Like Kevin Garnett just really doesn't fuck with the Heat. But sorry, go ahead.
No, and I love all that stuff, and like when you have guys like Draymond and KD who are not controversial figures, but there's stuff about them that like
they speak their mind. That's what makes them controversial. They speak
their mind, but at the same time, they speak their mind, but there's still stuff that we don't have full context for. So being able to get full context, I think, is like great. Like the thing that I love that. Obviously, the clip that went around was the stuff about the argument, and that 3-minute video of them talking about the argument, and like just having me just having the the extra context for some of it, and like being able to listen to some stuff is like to me more information is always fun to have, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. So that 3-minute clip, of course, everybody was So like I woke up yesterday and I saw I saw that clip first, but I didn't even like retweet it because I retweeted a Colin Cowherd like video segment that he did on Tim Tebow about how he can't, and I thought that was more interesting, so I retweeted that first, and I was like, should I have retweeted the Kevin Durant Draymond Green one first? And I was like, no, because I didn't find it that interesting. And I guess let me explain where I'm coming from with this. Like, I guess it's, well, one, Draymond Green and Bob Myers were on Woj's pod like 2 years ago talking about this, and the tone was like completely opposite. Like Draymond's like story and tone was like completely opposite of what was said in this video. And it might be he might have really felt that way now. Like how he felt now might have been how he felt back then, and he just didn't say anything or whatever. Fine. But also, like, I heard them talk about it on Kevin Durant's podcast. He has a podcast with with his own media company that he does with Eddie Gonzalez, and they had Draymond on and they talked about it. So I guess I kind of heard this story before, but in this particular interview, Draymond just added like a few more anecdotes with a few cuss words and stuff. But like, I guess what I'm saying is like that part wasn't that interesting to me. There was more interesting stuff in that interview, like talking about like, the players that Kevin Durant has played with the chip on their shoulder, or just how Kevin Durant feels that the game is so easy to him now, which is, that was more interesting to me because he does make the game look so damn easy.
Yeah.
Like it's insane how good he is.
Like,
and
so I forget who was discussing this. Like, I would still take Jordan and Kobe ahead of him as like a scorer, but they don't make it look as easy as KD makes it look.
I would take KD over Kobe as a pure scorer.
That's I see. I'm not arguing for or against Jordan. I'm just saying, like, in terms of the way they make it look, Jordan and Kobe, like, it doesn't. KD, it looks like he's not even trying out there.
Yeah,
like just from a pure, like, when you're watching him, you're like, is he even pushing himself that hard?
Like Drew Holiday was on JJ Redick's podcast and he was talking about the same thing. And he was just like, he was talking about how he was how when the Bucks were playing the Nets in that series, and Drew was like, is he even like, it looks like he's doing cone drills out there, like just shooting over people and stuff. But like, as far as that argument went, that segment about the Clippers argument, like it just made me think like, you two are grown ass men. Like you couldn't have just hashed it out like you needed Bob Myers and Steve Kerr to like facilitate like an environment to where the team could like you guys could have do like a a team meeting by yourselves or something. Like it just seemed like it just seemed like they were blaming everybody else but themselves, and it was like oh, the reason Kevin Durant left was because Bob and Steve fucked it up or after the argument or whatever. It's like, no, like everybody thought you were leaving anyway. Draymond probably got pissed because nobody knew what Kevin Durant was going to do, and it was a big distraction, and it boiled over like it was all reported and stuff. And you guys had an argument, and you guys didn't hash it out. Like, do I think Steve and Bob aren't faultless in this? No, but I think the two people who had the argument should be the ones who hold themselves accountable. I mean, it's not that big of a deal,
like
right? They're all cool and stuff, right?
It's like, it's like saying like, oh, I got into a fight at school, but the teacher won't make him apologize, so we're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah,
like, bro, just talk. He's right here. You're still playing.
And look, I get Draymond totally, because I'd be like that too. Like if someone told me to like, hey, you need to apologize, because I had this exact same situation in high school actually, and I almost got in a fight because of it. Like, somebody was like, you need. They were like, hey, you were talking about me. You need to apologize, and I was like, no, fuck you, and I just walked away. Like if somebody tells another human being like demanding an apology, 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to get pushback like, okay, I'm just not going to do it then. Like I get where Draymond is coming from, but it just seemed like seemed like they were blaming Bob and Steve for the argument they had that led to the breakup. I don't know, I just didn't find it that interesting, I guess.
Yeah, like it's just the kind of thing of like, okay, Draymond, you're saying that like you and KD could work this out and that Bob and Kerr don't need to get involved. That's fine. So why didn't you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and also like everybody on that team is grown ass men. Like teams are known to have team only meetings, like at the drop of a hat or whatever. Like if you thought that what you guys are the two leaders of the team, one of the two leaders on the team. Like if you thought that was something that needed to be hashed out, like you said in that segment, then hash it out. Like you don't need, like I'm sure the coach would understand. I'm sure Kerr would understand, of all people, because he's been in those heated locker rooms with Pop, especially Michael Jordan and shit like that. Like if something organically just call a team meeting if you feel that way. Like I thought there were other parts of that interview that were just infinitely more interesting, because I think the argument also has just been plowed over like so many times. And of course, like that part, I mean, as a social media manager, I'm sure you understand why Bleacher Report only clipped that segment out to preview what was coming out. Like that was going to be the sound bite that everybody was going to be like, oh, I have to tune in for this. But like everybody was freaking out about it. And I'm just like, hey, here's this Colin Cowherd video. I found it interesting because Tim Tebow can't fucking play anymore. Stop giving him chances, like, but, I did find that interview, like it was good. I guess like I would rather prefer podcasts from people like JJ Redick and other role players, I guess, because I think they have better perspective on like the NBA than the tippy top of the players do. Like if I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like I guess
I get it.
Like they're such highly competitive like creatures of habit, and they see the game so differently, where even like the lower level players don't understand, and they think like a certain way and stuff like that.
Well, it's the same reason why like usually, and there's a couple exceptions, but usually role players make better coaches than stars.
Yeah, exactly.
They understand like what it means to work hard and like what you need to do to get to where like to be effective. Where superstars just come in, they work hard, and like they have such a different level where it's like they don't understand. There's a lot of things that they don't understand how to convey to people that are lower than them.
Yeah, like the role player or like even like the good starter is like a good
Yeah,
bridge in between the two. And so it is interesting to see, like that's probably why if you ask like really great players what their all-time rankings are, it's probably going to be far completely different than from someone like you or me, because the greater players value different things because they think on that same exact level, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, but it was a good interview, and also Draymond's just going to be I can't wait to see what I I like Draymond more as an analyst anyway. Like, and Draymond will keep it raw on podcasts when he's a guest and stuff like that. But I'm interested to see what post career Draymond brings, and I do like that Kevin Durant is a lot more open now and like at the not give a shitness of his stage of his career, because like the part about the media was interesting because I obviously we all saw the change that, from him in terms of how he interacted with the media and stuff like that, like from compared to like his OKC days, and then it started like changing once he won that first championship in Golden
yeah,
State, you know, like because like he is at that level, like he understands the game, like, and Kevin Durant, by the way, like he's a hoop fanatic, like he is a hoop fan, like he will that's all he thinks about, that's all he reads, that's all he watches and all that stuff, like, and he'll like there was a clip of him in Tokyo during the Olympics where he was talking with the Australian women's basketball team, and they were talking about their game against the U.S. The next day, and Kevin Durant was like breaking down the matchup in a Australian USA women's basketball game. Like the dude eats, sleeps, and breathes hoops, so he knows his shit, and it's just interesting to see that he's at this point now where he's like, look, I don't have to hold guys like Stephen A. and Mike Wilbon, or guys who have been in the media a long time, on a pedestal just because they've been in it longer and have seen stuff before him. Like he's like, I'm a great player. Like I know what to do on the court. I know what coverages are and all that stuff. Like these questions are just pedantic, I guess, to him. And that was interesting to hear.
yeah. It uh, to me with KD and like with all of the players going through this stuff, it's interesting to me because like I totally get where KD's coming from, and I totally get where like the distrust of the media comes from, and like the way that the marketing machine works, and the way it is in a lot of ways disrespectful for players and disrespectful for what it takes a lot of things that they're saying and doing out of context, and like I understand their pain points, but at the same time, like
Oh yeah,
I
the
don't.
player's not always 100% right, by the
Yeah,
way.
like where it rubs me the wrong way, and this as a fellow media person, and obviously we're a little biased because it's something that we do for a living, right? But
Yeah.
it is a thing where like look, we're just trying to do our jobs too, and
Yeah.
not everyone is coming at you maliciously, and we're just trying to do our jobs the best we can. And a lot of times when your words are taken out of context, it's not necessarily our decision. That's the reason why it's happening.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a thing of like you can still be respectful and still allow everyone to do their jobs, and
Oh, I was about to say some wild shit right now, but I'm not. I was about to say, and I was like, wait a minute, nope.
and
I'll
it's
I'll
just a
tell you
thing of
off
like
air.
it's the it's the kind of thing too of like uh when players don't are like I'm not going to talk to the media, like you're that's part of your job too, you know and it's
Yeah,
like you have an obligation to sit and talk to the media or do whatever,
but
and like
they do have some point, because we I mean, because how many times have you seen media scrums and people will just ask some dumbass question,
absolutely.
like some
No, I'm not saying
dumbass
again.
yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
there has to be a healthier way for all of us to interact.
Yeah, there's got to be a healthy middle ground, but
Right.
unfortunately, with there's it's all muddled with social media now and shit like that. You know?
Yeah. No, I totally see where you're coming from. I totally agree. But yeah, I think it's so frustrating to see just like man, everyone go each other, and it's like, man, you're Right.
if
But
you ask
also,
like
you're not.
Kevin Durant like some, some legit basketball questions, I'm sure he'll talk to you with stuff like that. But like, if at this point, if you're still asking him about like the Warriors and stuff like that, I mean, that stuff's kind of played out. That was like questions
If
you
you're
should have
Rachel
asked him
Nichols,
there 3 years ago. Oh God.
if you're Rachel Nichols asking about the Warriors,
Yeah, like something like that. Then it's like, all right, like I get where he's coming from, but like if there is like legit questions, like if say like, well, Kevin Durant's not a free agent, he just signed an extension, which is crazy to think about considering we were worried about him post 30s. But like if it's something like related to like to a player about free agency or something like that, like it's kind of our obligation to ask that question because like there's a lot of player movement nowadays and stuff like that. Like I get that like the off the court stuff has kind of the pendulum has kind of swung too wildly into the off the court stuff compared to the on the court stuff. But like at the same time, like the off the court stuff is kind of important, And also I think I'm boring. I think a lot of aspects of basketball are fun to talk about. Like I know people hate some stuff about like people get annoyed with the free agency talk 24/7 and stuff like that. And I get it, but like that stuff is kind of important and interesting because it's kind of wild how the free agency has kind of like watching the evolution of how we view and covered and watch free agency over like the last 12 years has kind of been wild to see because it was mainly like quiet. There'd be like one or two big names out there and the contracts used to be longer and stuff like that. And there wasn't as much player movement, but then LeBron's decision kind of shifted the paradigm into stuff like that. And so,
well, it's that combined with the supermax and the way that the
yeah,
veteran structures work.
yep, yep. But now, like people can get extensions, and then if they're not happy, they can, request a trade out and stuff like that. So, it's all of it's interesting, but yeah, there has to be like a healthy. There's always it's probably gonna never happen, but like it's our job to kind of, break the mold a little bit more and try to find the middle ground, like and try to inch it there as much as we can,
Yeah, 100%. Oh, couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. So we're a few days removed now. We're about all the major free agency stuff is out of the way. Well, do you want to talk about free agency or summer league first?
Let's talk free agency first. I think it's pretty
Okay.
interesting. So yeah, we're removed from it. Do you have any moves that we didn't get to talk about that you're like love with, hate?
I'm working on a video on this, but I think the Warriors are going to be contenders in the West again this year, and I actually think they have a legit shot at coming out of the West.
Okay.
So the reason I say this is one,
Come bucket.
no, I'm not even going to acknowledge that nickname. Like I'm just not. But I just think that first the landscape of the Western Conference, the landscape of the Western Conference. If you just look at the injuries that it happened this past season, and it's going to bleed into next season, I think that kind of tilts the playing field a little bit. But also, I think the Warriors had some low bargain, high reward free agency signings. Like I really thought the Otto Porter, Nemanja Bjelica, and Andre Iguodala signings were really smart and really good signings because you're adding versatility, shooting, and defensive IQ and playmaking around Steph, Clay, and Draymond again. And it's not a thing where Steph and Clay are the only two shooters on the team. I think Bjelica adds size, positional versatility. He this past year he was struggling, but he was injured, and then he got traded to Miami. So I'm gonna give him a mulligan on that because I thought his first 2 years in Sacramento was really good. I think he's a solid playmaker, a solid tertiary playmaker. But not only that, he has like legit like 30 to 35 foot range from three as a 40% 3-point guy. Otto Porter, that's a low risk, high reward signing that I like. He's only played 42 games the last 2 seasons. He's been injured, but he's a guy who's been historically durable. but he's a solid defender. He's 28 years old, 6'8" wing, and is an elite shooter, like legitimately an elite shooter. Just look at his career. He's a career 40% 3-point shooter, but look at his catch and shoot numbers, and it's been like always hovering around 42%. And then Andre Iguodala, like as old as he is, he's still like a 20-minute per game guy, still a solid defender, defensive IQ, smart. Yeah, his offensive game might be dwindling, but like he's still a good playmaker. And he'll always hit big shots. Like, and I'm not going to do the Max Kellerman, like I want Iguodala, but like he does hit big shots for that team, and he's very familiar with the infrastructure of that team because he was part of it. Like he created it. Like you think of the big three, and then you think of Andre Iguodala when you think of those Warriors teams, and Kevin Durant, obviously. But if you're talking pre-Kevin Durant era Warriors, like Andre Iguodala was a giant piece of that team.
Yeah.
And then I think Moses Moody is the more ready of all the young lottery picks that they have out of Wiseman and Kuminga. If Moses Moody can have a Diet Coke version of what Tyrese Halliburton did in his rookie year for the Sacramento Kings, I think that will give the Warriors some playmaking, some shooting, and some defense from the guard position at 6'6" that they just haven't had. And I just really love what they did. And with Wiggins and Jordan Poole and Juan T emerging last year, getting more reps, and Wiggins was legitimately good for the Warriors last year as like a 3-and-D guy. And Clay coming back, even if Clay is not the same defender.
Yeah, that's my concern. So here, I'm liking everything you're saying. I really do. My concerns are Clay's lateral movement defensively.
Yeah.
Because obviously he wasn't an athletic guy before, but he did have pretty solid lateral movement and lateral athleticism to stick with guys. But now you're taking away, theoretically, with the injuries, you're taking away both of his tools to be able to, pretty much his only tool to stay in front of athletic wings that he's guarding. So that's a concern for me. And then also in the West, looking at the way the West is structured, at least on the top end, it puts a lot of pressure on Wiseman to develop and to be able to guard these bigger athletic centers, these bigs. Because Draymond is good. Draymond's an all-time defender or whatever, but he doesn't have the size or the athleticism to stick with a Anthony Davis or a Nikola Jokic, or and then sort of these big things that's gonna, at the top end of the West, he's gonna have to contend with. So it does. You do need someone like Wiseman, even DeAndre Ayton, right? You need someone at that that has the size and athleticism to be able to stick with these guys, or at least provide help and backup for them for when Draymond either gets in foul trouble or is sitting on the bench, right?
Yeah.
So those are my two concerns, and I don't know if Clay's health defensively is the question mark for me, and then also the development of Wiseman, not so much in the offensive end, but the defensive end, to be able to help slow down some of these important bigs that he's gonna have to they're gonna have to face if they make a run.
Yeah, that's fair. It also depends on what seeding the Warriors get to, where they only have to face one of those guys. I do think Draymond Green has a better chance of guarding Anthony Davis than Jokic, just because Jokic.
Well, Jokic is the bulk.
Yeah. Jokic's heft is very much bigger than Anthony Davis, and he
Ayton.
And Ayton is not so much because he can't like post up. Like he's not as refined of a post-up player as Davis or Jokic. And I don't think Ayton's too upright to me sometimes. And I wish, there are just times where I wish Ayton would just be aggressive and look for a shot. But I think he's kind of found a alley as like the run rim to rim guy.
Yeah. And but the thing is too, is like
duck in and stuff. But
even with Ayton, a lot of his value, at least from my opinion, comes from his energy on the boards. Mm-hmm. And so Draymond's lack of size really does hurt him there.
Yeah.
And so, like,
that's fair.
when you have a guy like Wiseman that can match, theoretically can match Ayton energy athleticism wise, then you need that guy in there just kind of like keep with him and keep you guys in possessions or stop.
I'm still a Wiseman believer, but man, like his bigs like that take a while to develop, and I just wonder
he's way more raw than I thought he was.
Yeah. Like he has stone hands too. Like he can't catch the ball as well. Like, and people can say,
Did you see by the way the tweet that I called out and and the guy responded? He was taking a lot of shit, and
what happened?
Some guy. So I quote retweeted it and I was like, "Yo, frozen tweets or old frozen tweets or whatever. Keep this one in the pocket.
Old takes exposed or whatever."
Yeah. So I was like,
I think I did see that, but I forgot what you quote tweeted.
So it was and so he responded like, I'll be waiting for it. And so he's all in on it. It's that Evan Mobley is a poor man's James Wiseman.
I don't think I agree with that.
Neither do I. That's a terrible take.
That's kind of like Mobley is.
It was like Mobley. It was like
just on the defensive end alone. Like,
yeah, it was like Mobley is a less skilled James Wiseman or something like to that effect. And I was like, what are you watching, man?
As the great Rick James said in the Dave Chappelle skit, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Dude, I don't know I don't know how you could watch both of them play and tell me that he's a less talented.
Mobley is look, Wiseman has, as far as athleticism goes, yes, James fine. I'll give James Wiseman points there. Evan Mobley's the better defender, he's a better shooter, and he's a better playmaker. Like, just that. And Mobley is still raw too, by the way. Like, he still has some stuff to iron out, but he's already like more advanced than Wiseman. So I don't know.
He's the way he reads defenses.
Well, the way he moves too. Like, he's much more coordinated laterally than Wiseman is. Like Wiseman is coordinated, don't get me wrong, but like Mobley is sliding in front of guards on the perimeter, Like, Mobley is way more advanced on that end than Wiseman is, just on that alone. So I don't know what that dude was thinking.
Dude, yeah, I was for a complete loss because we'll talk about him when you talk about Summer League, but like Mobley was a standout for me watching him play. But so aside from the Warriors, do you have anything that you don't like? Anything that you thought was like, what the fuck are they doing?
So I thought again, I did a video on this. I thought there were 3 losers. I thought I don't remember one of them, but I know the Pelicans are a loser of mine. I hated what they did in free agency, just considering that they were waiting for Kyle Lowry, then they whiffed, and then they traded for Devontae Graham, who I liked Devontae Graham. I liked what he developed into more than probably what anybody expected. Like, I'm sure anybody.
My thing is, you had Lonzo.
Yeah, you had Lonzo, and you let
Lonzo go, and you traded picks and people for Devontae Graham, who's just a worse.
He was just a worse player. Like, and low key, like Lonzo shot slightly better from 3 than Graham. Like, Graham takes tougher threes than Lonzo does, but like Lonzo for 2 years now has been a really good shooter. Yeah. So like, I think we could put that concern behind us. And also, he has great chemistry with Zion. He's a better playmaker than Devontae Graham. Like, I don't understand why there is such.
He's a top level perimeter defender.
He's bigger. He's a better defender, better playmaker.
And you wouldn't have had to give anything up to keep him.
No, all you had to do was just sign him or match the offer. And he has great chemistry with your franchise player, who, by the way, is we're already starting to hear reports of him being unhappy.
Yeah,
in New Orleans.
Well, not only do they have really good chemistry, but apparently they're very close. So, dude, you're letting a young player that could grow with your star, that's really close friends with your young star, walk. I'm sorry. Is that how you keep him happy?
And also, you put the team in a completely, like, when we started this podcast and we were talking about ranking teams in the West, I was so lukewarm on the Pelicans because of the Stan Van Gundy hire and the Steven Adams signing, because theoretically Steven Adams was supposed to be this rim running, rolling big, and he did neither of those things. He just clogged up the paint for their best paint player, which is Zion, and then clogged up spacing for Brandon Ingram and Lonzo. So you put the team in a very non-conducive environment to bring out their best talents anyway, and then you decide not to bring Lonzo back. Like, I'm sorry, like, David Griffin is not a good GM. Like, I thought I always thought he was overrated, but at the very least, I thought he would be competent. I remember when David Griffin was like I remember he was supposed to be in consideration for the Sixers general manager job, and I was like, please no. Like, aside from building around LeBron, which, okay, fine, not everybody can build around LeBron, but I do think that is a more easier task than a lot of GM situations, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like, he giving away all these picks, like, he's doing a very light version of what Brian Colangelo did with Sam Hinkie's draft assets. Like, he's just pissing them away because he gave away another pick to sign and trade for Devontae Graham. And look, and I still don't get, like, why they traded away the 10th pick. Like, why did they do that? And to get Jonas Valanciunas, who is a better fit than Adams, but it's still the same vein.
Yeah,
like,
it's just a big lumbering center.
Yeah, and Jonas can post up and score, unlike Steven Adams. But again, like, you're clogging. It's the same space that Zion needs to be.
I loved
successful.
the idea. I loved the idea of them getting Lauri Markkanen. I was like, I fell in love with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then, they're just not going to do that either.
Yeah, nope. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just not into the Pelicans right now. There might be a little bit more spacing, hopefully. And maybe they'll pop more than I think. But look, David Griffin is he's a bad GM, and I will not change my mind until I see otherwise, I guess. And then I thought my other loser was the Blazers. Because, like,
bro, I don't know. If I was Dame Lillard, I would be pissed. And I would want out.
Yeah, like, I don't understand what's taking so long at this point. Just come to my team, please. The Sixers, just come to my team. But, like, Dame said that, he even said it. He said it, his words, not ours, that I don't know if a coaching change is going to be enough to be like, well, we're a championship team now.
Yes.
Basically saying that this roster sucks. It's not a championship roster. And so what does Neil O'Shea do? One, he hires Chauncey Billups. Two, he signs Tony Snell, Cody Zeller, and Ben McLemore to, like, bolster the margins on the bench. That was Dame's idea of a free agency. Like, I don't know, man. Like, that just seems like a bad thing waiting to happen.
And the thing that's weird is, like, when you think about the Blazers and you think about, like, when you think about all these contenders, right? Even if they didn't make moves and they didn't get stuff, they're in the conversation, right? Like, Celtics were in the conversation for stuff. Sixers were in the conversation for stuff. We've seen movement that, like, hey, they're working. They're trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a single rumor about, like, the Blazers are interested in someone, or they're talking to so-and-so. What are they doing?
Neil O'Shea, like, if you listen to Neil O'Shea's comments after they got knocked out of the first round, like, he legitimately believes that, like, the roster was not the issue as to why they had defensive problems. He really threw Terry Stotts under the bus, backed the bus up over him, and then ran him over again. And it's
he's gonna see right away.
Like Kevin Hart said, you're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today. Because, like, one, the backcourt alone, CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, that is small. Damian Lillard's a terrible defender. CJ McCollum is not any better. Robert Covington is really just an off-ball. I love Robert Covington, but he's more of a great off-ball defender than a one-on-one defender. And who do they have at? I don't remember who they lost. Zach Collins, even though Zach Collins never even played. Enes Kanter's in Boston now.
Oh, that's right.
Nurkic, like, is he gonna be
healthy?
Is he gonna be healthy? Like, is he gonna be better removed from the broken leg now? Like, that whole Blazers situation just stinks. And then for incomplete, I would have to give my own team an incomplete because everything's in limbo with the whole Ben Simmons thing. It's clear that Daryl Morey's just waiting for Damian Lillard. Like it's so clear. Everybody in the league knows it. Like everybody knows it. Like I'm sure Simmons knows it. Rich Paul knows it. Lillard knows it. The Sixers hired Phil Beckner, who is Damian Lillard's longtime trainer and assistant coach back at Weber State, where Lillard went to college. The Sixers are clearly planting the seeds to try and get Lillard, but Lillard hasn't requested a trade yet, so things are in limbo. Did not like the Andre Drummond signing, to say the least, but it's an incomplete right now. I don't think there is a lot of losers in free agency, though. I liked a lot of teams. I love the Hornets free agency.
Yep.
I'm sure you did too. Like a lot of toys for LaMelo now.
I just want LaMelo to get all the toys.
Yeah. All the good players.
All he needs now is LiAngelo. That's it. Give him LiAngelo as like the 13th man on the bench.
I mean, I don't even know if LiAngelo's a 13th man, to be honest.
He looked good in the summer league, man.
He was okay. He was all right. Like, I wouldn't say he looked good. He was okay. I just think everybody just got hyped to see him because he's a ball brother. I think if LiAngelo was like 5 inches taller, he'd be in the NBA for sure. With how his game is.
He needs to be a long boy that can shoot these threes.
Yeah, like he's kind of like me in the sense that he got the short end of the. I mean, 6'4" is like nothing to slouch at, right? But like Lonzo is 6'6", LiAngelo's like
6'9".
LaMelo's a legit like 6'8", and I feel for LiAngelo because I'm 6 feet flat and my little brother is 6'8", so it's like
yikes.
So it's like I kind of sympathize with LiAngelo, but I don't think he's I think he's going to be trying to fight on 10-day contracts for a good part of his career. But
that's fair. I think he's good enough to find a niche of like a team that needs a spot up 3-point shooter and someone that can just come off the bench and get hot.
We'll see. I mean, look, either way, like LeVar was a prophet. Like all of his boys made it to the professional league in some way or another. And everybody was like, all right, this loudmouth dude needs to stop talking. And he was right. It was like almost like Richard Williams with Venus and Serena, like in the belief he had in his kids. So shout out to LeVar. I also like the Kai Jones pick for the Hornets as well, because at the very least, he'll be a large 3-and-D athletic guy, you know? I mean, someone's got to be better than Bismack Biyombo and Cody Zeller, right? Like, who the Blazers signed.
You just need to give LaMelo a big, nice rolling lob threat. He needs his Tyson Chandler.
I would have loved if they had traded for Miles Turner, but it doesn't look like the Pacers are gonna trade for him. I heard they were. I don't know what Lauri Markkanen's status is right now, but I saw a report that the Hornets were, strongly considering him and Oubre before they signed Oubre. That would have been nice too. Would have liked to see Lowry in a better place because I still like Lauri Markkanen as a player. But yeah, I like the Hornets. The Nets to me are just the undisputed favorite to win the championship this upcoming year. Like, it's kind of crazy how good of an offseason they had.
Yeah.
Like, they got James Johnson, who is the Pelicans' best defender, which isn't saying much, but he was still solid. He's a big wing. The drafts they had, getting Cam Johnson as a microwave scorer, just all the minimum signings they had were just getting Bruce Brown back, and hopefully, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden can, stay healthy. But the Nets, I thought the Nets killed their free agency, and they, like, to me, they are the undisputed, like, favorites. I'm trying to pull up they got DeAndre Bembry too, who is another hard playing defensive wing. Patty Mills too. Like, how the hell did they get Patty Mills?
That was a steal.
How did they get Patty Mills? Like, that's That's crazy to me. And, Blake Griffin re-signs with the Nets too, and he was legitimately solid for the Nets. Like, the Nets are loaded this year. And, and they somehow traded Landry Shamet and got a first-round pick back, but they also got Javon Carter, who is like, he didn't get much playing time with the Phoenix Suns because of the guards in front of him, but like, he's a bulldog on that end, on the defensive end of the floor from the point guard position. And really, like, with how talented the Nets big three is, like, if you just get guys who are really good at a few things as role players, like Bruce Brown, for example, basically became a guard center. Like, Javon Carter could excel there. Patty Mills will definitely excel there. James Johnson adds toughness and defense on the perimeter. Like, the Nets really killed their offseason, and the league should be shitting themselves. Like, it's scary. It's scary.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I think they've solidified a number one spot. I think I would put like Lakers, Bucks, and I think actually just Lakers, Bucks right behind them in terms of like if I made a power ranking right now. And then I think there's a pretty big, I would say like Lakers, Bucks, and then like slightly below them I would put maybe like Nuggets, Suns, like that group.
It's really just health, and the Sixers are just in limbo right now because I think they'll win a lot of regular season games.
I think that I would put the Sixers in that group with potentially with Lakers, Bucks, but I don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons, and so like I can't place them anywhere while this is hanging over their heads.
People think that Ben Simmons is gonna show up to training camp I think there's a very good chance that Ben Simmons might hold out. I don't think there's no way that he's playing a game for the Sixers again. I don't believe that.
Did you see the clip that came out, I think yesterday or the other day, about with him working out?
Oh my God. Can Chris Johnson just stop posting shit? Like, as Sixer fans are so sick of summer workout videos now.
It was so funny. My favorite comments were like, Ben, no one in the league is going. No one in the league is going over the screen. No one's going over the screen, right?
And also, I like how he was like, not many point guards in the league have this bag. And I mean, you mean dribble around a screen and snake your way to the rim and dunk? A lot of point guards have that bag. What are you talking about?
And also, Ben, why are you working on that, dude? You're good at that already.
Yeah, right. And it's
no one wants to see you work on that.
Like, there's got to be some level of self-awareness here. Like, Sixer fans have seen workout videos over the summer for like 3 or 4 straight fucking summers, and you come in and you don't shoot. You'll shoot your 1 3-pointer every 2 months to be like, all right, everybody shut up. I shot it. Are you happy? And then you have a meltdown like that in the playoffs. The last 4 games of that Hawks series was just putrid. And then you show up with a workout video like that. And also, like, I
love how the workout is like nothing ever happened. He's like, I'm in my bag doing my thing.
And he's working out with like Rajon Rondo on his shooting, and it's like, look, Rajon turned himself into a solid shooter, but like, that is the last person I want to see working on a jump shot with Ben Simmons. Like, that's dog. Like,
hey Ben, who are you working with? Oh, I'm working with the sharpshooter extreme,
and I feel
Rajon Rondo,
and I feel bad because at this point, like, if you just look at Sixers Reddit and everywhere else, like, Ben's just getting annihilated every time there's like Ben Simmons content posted now. And it's like, all right, guys, like, I get it. Like, I was pissed at Ben too. I think we should trade him because he's our only blue chip asset left. But like he doesn't help himself with shit like this. It's like, dude. And also, Chris Johnson is the guy who fucking posts videos about like, watch me shoot this basketball on this rim with a bunch of nails around it. Like, are you trying to do like a Saw movie with basketball workout videos? Like, I don't know if you've seen those, but like, there was a video he posted with like rotating rims one time, and he was like, look, this is what a pure shooter does. He hits the rim, he hits the net no matter what. And it was like a circle with like 3 rims, and it was rotating. I'm like, are we at a carnival? Like, what are we doing here? But yeah, the Sixers are in limbo until otherwise. They'll win a lot of regular season games, but now I'm in official wait and see in the playoffs because I don't believe it type mode, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right,
That's
Summer
more than fair.
League.
Yeah, I guess we'll
Summer
end
League.
off on Summer League. The
Congrats to the two-time Summer League champ Sacramento Kings. Now I know
yeah,
a guy who's a member of the Sacramento media. He flew to Las Vegas, and I DM'd him, and I was just like, "Gonna catch your team winning a chip this year?" And he was like, "Hey, it's the only one we're gonna get." And he watched his team hoist the trophy. You know,
man, you gotta love it. I must say, and again, this is we talked about it. We talked about it the last episode, and we talked about how much we loved the Rockets draft the last episode, and
I
I
did
was
love the Rockets
and I
draft.
was and I was gushing about my boy Sangoon because I just
Yeah,
love. I love. We both established that we both love post dominant centers,
I like Shangoon's game.
and watching him in summer league, I just fucking love this dude. I don't know how it's
Yeah,
gonna translate, but I fucking love this dude.
I mean, at the very least, he's a skilled offensive player. Like
Yes.
he's a really good rebounder. I don't know how he's going to look laterally defensively on the perimeter and stuff, but I think he's going to be a hard playing big around the rim, kind of like I mean, if he turns into like a Brooke Lopez type of rim protector, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at some point in his career. Like it's not improbable, you know. But yeah, it'll definitely be slow-footed, lack of fleet of foot on the perimeter, but he has touch, he has post moves, like he can
Mm-hmm.
rebound, he plays hard.
And he has a
Like
good. He's not a great defender, but he does have good feel.
yeah, he has good
Like I.
activity too. Like he's
Yeah.
active, you know.
And he's getting to the right spot. It's just like he's a little slower on it. He's not great laterally, but he's moving. He's showing effort, which is all you can really ask for, right?
And I really fucks with Jalen Green. Like I really like his game.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna sit here and watch and act like I've watched every G League Ignite game, but I did see some G League Ignite games with him and Kaminga on the same team, and like you could definitely see the athleticism and the scoring upside that he has. The question is always going to be his jump shot, which looked pretty good in summer league. He has that it's really crazy how kids are coming into the game now, like with just having the sidestep 3 on lock now, you know, like those are the type of moves they've been honing. Like I remember when James Harden Manu Ginobili did it a little bit, but not to the degree Harden like took it. Like even Harden in OKC had like that sidestep 3, but then in Houston he like revolutionized that. I don't even know if I said that right. But he took it to a whole nother level, and like now 19-year-olds these days are just coming in with that sidestep 3. I like the Rockets picks. They're gonna be a fun shitty 25 win team to watch because they have a lot of young players that I think are going to be NBA rotation guys. And Jalen Green, obviously, I think he has all the upside in the world because of his scoring potential, you know. And another team in Cam Johnson, like it's funny. The summer league is like an environment for scores to succeed, and I thought Cam Johnson, like he's a bucket getter, like in that environment with the Nets. Like you could tell the Nets drafted in a way where you could tell how their free agency was going to go. They were going to get a bunch of role players, and then they were going to get some high upside rookies where in a incubated environment, they were going to succeed with their best skills. And Cam Johnson, I could see just being a bucket getter off the bench for the Nets, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they did a great job of showing it off. And like the thing that I've loved about the summer league is like all the rookies showed out.
Mm-hmm.
And like Cade had some up and downs, but you can totally see exactly what he's good at and like what he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And you're like, because a lot of people were like, "Oh, look at Draymond Green, look at the numbers, look at the highlights," and I was like, "Yo, look at what Cade's doing running the offense." Like,
Cade is going. I'm still not sure about Killian Hayes yet. Like, I want to like him and believe in him.
But you can see, like,
but
so
I can see how he's going to be helped out by Cade.
When Cade's on the floor with Killian, you can see the flow of the offense, right? You can see how they work in tandem, and like Cade's really putting Killian in spots where he can succeed.
Yeah, it was fun seeing the Pistons and the Rockets go up against each other too. And Cade he pulled that move on Jalen Green, and I was like, oh shit! Like it was like that behind the back crossover into a 3. Also Davion Mitchell. I can't wait to go to a few Kings games this year. Covering a few Kings games this year because Golden One Center is going to be at capacity again. And if the Kings bench in Summer League and the crowd is reacting to the way Davion Mitchell plays defense, I can't wait to see what a full Golden One Center looks like watching Davion. They kind of did in the California Classic.
I'm concerned about if the league is if the refs are gonna let him guard the way he's guarding.
That is true. That's fair.
In the summer, like he's going
he
after
did
him.
Get
I love it.
He did get too physical sometimes, but like he has good technique. He could slide his feet, and you could tell he like gives a shit on that end. And also, he's kind of he's an intuitive defender too. Like he'll give extra help, and like he'll do the whole reach and recover back and stuff like that. Like the Kings just need a good defender in the worst way, considering they had one of the worst defensive ratings in NBA history by a mile. And I just can't wait to see like the one possession in Golden One Center where Davion like has like locks up a defender and the 24-second shot clock runs out and the whole arena just freaks out. I wasn't like against or for the pick when they made it, but like after seeing in Summer League, like they definitely have to loosen up the logjam in the guard position because Buddy Hield's still there. Terrence Davis just re-signed there and stuff like that. But Luke Walton's definitely going to trot out a Fox, Halliburton, and Davion Mitchell like 1-2-3 lineup like at some point, and that's going to be fun to watch. And he does. So like I'm not saying he's like this player because they have the same initial and last name, but like he does have a little bit of Donovan Mitchell to his game with just how compact he is, and
the explosion, right? The
compact. He has a compact body, and it's like compact explosion. Like he can accelerate off 1 foot, 2 feet, and the jump shot just looks so similar to Donovan Mitchell's, just with how compact it is,
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see Davion in Sacramento. They're going to be a team I'm going to be watching out for.
No, definitely. They're an exciting bunch that like we already knew because just how their backcourt was working out. My only concern was like, again, your logjam that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And like, even if they did run that 3 guard rotation, that's a small rotation, man. Even as great a defender. I just think
at this point, the Kings need good players.
That's fair.
Like they, like I
what you can.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I've definitely done this before too, where I look at shitty teams and I'm like, oh, do they fit? But at the end of the day, you're shitty for a reason. Like, I think you just need to get all the good players you could get. And I think Davion's definitely he was one of the more touted as one of the more NBA ready players coming out of the draft. And I thought, I understood the thought process behind why the Kings picked him. I was surprised. I think Davion was surprised too. His after he was picked and he did his media availability, I think he was surprised the Kings picked him.
Yeah.
But you get the good players.
I'm curious if this is the direction that the Kings are going to continue to go, because they grabbed Halliburton, who again was another NBA ready guy. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they realize like, we've had really bad luck with projects. Let's just grab guys that are just like ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. They re-signed Rashawn Holmes too. I'm sure they're not going to. I don't think they're going to trade Harrison Barnes because I think he's been good for the Kings. But also I think they're going to try to see if they could get something for Buddy Hield. But if not, then Buddy Hield is flat out one of the best shooters in the NBA with high volume. Like last year, I think he was only behind. Last year, he was second in made threes behind, obviously Stephen Curry. So, we'll see where the Kings go from here. They still have Luke Walton, though. That is my concern.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah,
but no, I had a fun time watching the Summer League this year. I had a fun time watching the Summer League. There's a lot of good games going on. A lot of games coming down to the wire. Again,
I like
young
that
guys.
Tyrese Maxey was. For second-year players, I'm looking for like if you're too good for Summer League, and I like from a Sixers standpoint that Tyrese Maxey was too good for Summer League. I like the development trajectory he's on. I'm also just excited because he's literally the only Sixers guard who can dribble, and when he dribbles, makes a layup. And he can shoot a little bit off the dribble.
Hey man, you have Ben Simmons who can dribble to the basket and pass.
Not many people have the bag Ben Simmons has, where you just dribble around a screen and dunk.
Dude, what? Look at him bend his knees before the pass.
Oh my god. Oh, I love it. If there's one thing about the Sixers is that there's not a boring moment with that team. There's not a boring moment. I'm
Yeah, I love it,
glad
man.
Joel Embiid signed that extension though. Worth every penny, even with his injury history. I don't care. Like,
Got to do it.
got to do it. He's flat out one of the at the he's when you're team building and you want to win a championship, you get the guys where when they're at their best, they can compete with anybody in the NBA. And Joel Embiid is that type of player. And I'm glad that he signed the Supermax. I think people were surprised that he signed the Supermax extension. I kind of wasn't, because I think everybody's just looking at the landscape now and they're like, look, if I sign this extension, I can just force my way out. That's kind of the way the league is going now. But I really do legitimately believe that Joel Embiid wants to end his career in Philadelphia. He's talked about it ad nauseum. That's the only team who took a chance on him with his foot injuries. They were patient with him for 2 years. And I think he really does embrace the challenge of living in a wanting to win for a tough city like Philadelphia. And even if at the end of his contract it doesn't work out and he decides to, sign somewhere else, you know, I wouldn't be mad at him. I'm just glad he's committed to the team, and you sign your good players is what I'm saying. Unlike the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes, 100%.
But
yeah. That's You have anything else you wanted to bring to the table here?
I guess I do wonder about teams like the Heat and stuff like that, because I do think the Heat will be really good, but I do wonder about their age. There's just a lot of free agency. There's just a lot of teams in free agency, like I said, that I thought had good summers, but I think people are underestimating that the landscape of the Western Conference might not be as good this year. Than I think, because of the injuries to contenders like the Nuggets, the Clippers. I don't know if the Sun, historically speaking,
The Clippers aren't gonna compete this year.
historically,
If Kawhi's not going, they're not gonna compete this year.
I'm also really concerned about Kawhi, by the way. I had a sports surgeon on my Sly Hooper podcast. Anyone listening to this podcast could check that out. We were talking about Kawhi, and I'm kind of concerned about Kawhi post 30s, because if he had that chronic leg stuff that was going on and tore his ACL, and he's going to be 30 soon, 30, 31, I'm kind of worried about 30s, post 30s Kawhi. I want to keep believing in Justice Winslow, not just because he's a lefty, but I really liked his game at Duke. But I want to see if
I've been on the Justice Winslow train for far too long. And I feel
I'm not getting off.
Every time I feel like, all right, it's time to get off, he'll have like a 30-point explosion. I'm like, all right, I'm back on.
Yeah, what game was it? I think it was against the I think when he was on the Grizzlies this year, Justice Winslow had a great game against the Clippers, and I'm pretty sure that's why he was able to get a contract with the Clippers. But he's still only 24. He's 6'6". There was that one year in Miami.
Athletic.
Yeah, there was that 1 year in Miami, the 2017-18 season, where he shot 38%. He shot 38% from three. He was a point guard, kind of. I still believe I still believe in Justice Winslow, man. No, it was a 2018-19 season. I'm looking at it right now. He averaged 12 points a game, nearly 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and he shot 37% from three. He's a good player is in there somewhere, and I'm not giving up on Justice Winslow. He just needs to be healthy. And
bruh, this sounds like my Andrew Wiggins, like me talking myself into why I have Andrew Wiggins trading cards.
There's just players you can't quit, man. And I know that
you know who I was on the train for till I'm still on the train for? It's Michael Beasley.
Oh God.
I can't express to you because first off,
Why?
when when Jerry West says this is the best offensive talent I've ever seen, okay, when Jerry West tells you that, and you go,
Even Jerry West can
all
be
right,
wrong sometimes, man.
dude. But the thing is, I don't think he's necessarily like in terms of raw talent. I don't think he's necessarily wrong. When you watch Michael Beasley, he is so talented in getting and scoring the basketball. He's
Yeah,
so he can't do anything
like
else.
8 years ago.
Yes,
Sure.
but like even in that like what 3 months that he was with the Lakers, he'd come into games and score like an instant 10 points, and you're like, dude, why would we do this more? And then he'd do something stupid. You're like, oh, that's why.
Well, he wears watches on his ankles. Like
Yes.
that's why. And he also said I don't that iconic interview he did with Taylor Rooks where he was talking about brain power and like
Oh my
how
god.
we only use like 10% of our brain, but like we could use like more and shit like that. It was like I love Michael Beasley though. He's entertaining.
Dude, like when you watch him though, you can't deny it. Like this dude's fucking talented. It's just
dude,
a matter of like,
at Kansas State, he was a monster. Like he was
dude,
legit. Like
even like
that
he has stretches.
Derrick Rose versus Michael Beasley was like a legit
Yeah.
conversation. Like that draft.
And the thing is, again, like when you watch, there's some games in the NBA where like he just turns it on and you go, "Oh my god, how easy is it for him to score?"
Mm-hmm.
And then you like he can't do anything else. Let's be clear, he can't do anything else. But putting the ball in the hoop, yeah, he can do that in buckets.
I used to like be a huge OJ Mayo believer too before he got
So was I. That was my
before he
USC
got
dog.
suspended from the league. It's kind of crazy that
That draft class was nuts.
you like Russell Westbrook at 4 was considered a reach. Like
Because Kevin Love. Also,
Kevin Love too.
This came through the other day, and like this was going on Twitter. I think it was last night. This was coming through Twitter. People need to remember how good prime Kevin Love was.
Yeah, Minnesota Kevin Love was really good.
People need to put respect on Kevin Love because people don't
remember.
Game. Yeah, people don't remember how good Kevin Love was in Minnesota.
He might be the best outlet passer I've seen in my lifetime. Like in my life. Like I'm 30, so you don't
and a legitimate
get pissed at me if I miss like West Unseld or some shit. But
like and legitimately one of the best like positional rebounding centers I've ever seen.
Yeah, he was a good player, but injuries and when LeBron returned home, like Kevin Love was regulated to the corner and stuff like that, and to be a rebounder. He was always going to be
sacrificed a lot to get a championship.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately now he's just been injured and he's old, and and
but people forget, man. Kevin Love was a monster. People
Kevin Love was legit.
Meme on him now. People meme on him now, but like he was legitimately in his prime a top 10 player in the NBA.
Also, I wouldn't mind being memed if I made like $30 million a year. I just wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
I don't
think he. I don't think he cares. I'm just saying. People need to because there was a thing that came out of like Basketball Reference as their Hall of Fame projections or like their percentages of like what players go in the Hall of Fame, and people were like kind of yelling about how high Kevin Love was. And it's like, dude, Kevin Love. You gotta realize how good Kevin Love was. Like,
I don't think he'll get into the Basketball Hall of Fame because I think that's the easiest Hall of Fame to get into out of all the sports.
Well, because it's taking into account Olympics and college and everything else.
Yeah, but like if it was like, I think the NFL is a nice middle. I think Major League Baseball is the hardest because there's a lot of old white writers who
that's fair.
are very traditionalist. And guys like I don't care about the steroid era. Barry Bonds should be in the fucking Hall of Fame.
And Clemens.
And Clemens, like there's a bunch of people who should be in the Hall of Fame, but baseball writers take shit personally and hate players. And they just leave him out. I think the NFL is a nice middle ground between the MLB and the NBA. Like it's not too easy and it's hard, but it's not extremely hard. And you have to actually be like consistently great. And I think Kevin Love will get in because basketball is the easiest. But like if it was like NFL standards, he wouldn't get in. I personally wouldn't have Kevin Love in. But like I'm not devaluing how good he was in Minnesota because he was good. Like he is flat out one of the best rebounders I have seen. Even I think he's better than Andre Drummond, because I thought Andre Drummond was a great rebounder, is a great rebounder, but like Kevin Love's like positional boxing out, timing and all that stuff, just everything that goes into rebounding, he's one of the best I've seen at that. And he was legitimately good. So yeah, people do need to put respect on Kevin Love's name. Plus he was a 26 point per game guy, great 3-point shooter, all that stuff. It's just that, Minnesota has been a historically ineptitude franchise. So, that 2008 draft was pretty crazy when you think about it. Like, even if like a lot of the lottery picks besides Westbrook didn't pan out as we all thought, there's still NBA players. Like Derrick Rose won MVP. Michael Beasley spent 11 years in the league. Danilo
still in the league, man.
He's still, or Michael Beasley.
Yeah, he just got signed.
Who did he get signed to?
Let me look up Michael Beasley.
I'm pretty sure.
I remember laughing about it too.
I'm pretty sure it might have been a 10-day or something, because like he hasn't been in the league since 2019.
Well, he was signed to the Nets last year.
That must have been a 10-day, because there's no I did not see a hint of Michael Beasley. But Eric Gordon,
he's on the Blazers summer league team.
Yeah, he was on. That was it, because I knew he was in summer league this year.
Yeah, he was on the Blazers summer league.
Not officially an NBA roster.
No, but I remember laughing about it, because I was like, yes, this is what Dame was asking for. This is exactly the help that Dame was looking for.
Needed to scout out Michael Beasley. Oh, Milwaukee drafted Joe Alexander with the 8th pick. Only spent 2 years in the league. Eric Gordon was a monster coming out of Indiana too. By the way, yeah. I thought the Clippers were going to be real. I was a huge Eric Gordon fan when I was a sophomore in high school. There's a lot of good players that came out of this draft, man.
This is one of my favorite drafts.
Yeah. The 2008 draft. The 2008, 2009 drafts.
I like Brandon Rush too. Brandon Rush is in this draft.
The classic Warrior Brandon Rush.
Hey man, I like Brandon Rush. Anthony
Randolph too. I wonder if anybody still believes in that athleticism and positional versatility with Anthony Randolph. My guy Mo Spates, former Sixer legend. No, he's not. But it's
Luke Richard and Mbamute still in the league in some.
Hey, he founded. I have a special place in my heart for Luke, because one, he was a process Sixer technically, a few times, but he also founded Joel Embiid at the Cameroonian basketball camp, and he was the reason Joel Embiid started playing basketball, or one of the early reasons. He found Joel Embiid and was like, "Dude, you can play basketball." And so I will always. I will never slander Luke Richard and Mbamute.
So looking down this list, there's like a real sin here, that a guy that I was pulling for, and it fits our vibes here of Long Boys, and it's Mr. Chris Douglas Roberts.
Oh, he had a nasty dunk. I remember I was watching. I think it was the Final Four, and
with D Rose.
With D Rose, and he had a nasty dunk. I forgot who they played. It was in the Final Four, but he had a nasty dunk that was waved off, and I was like freaking out. Dude, Chris Douglas Roberts was a athletic monster.
Dude, that guy was a long boy.
Yep. Even back then, I loved the long wings, even though I was short. Well, I guess 6 feet. I think the average size of a male American is 6 feet, right? Is either like 5'10" or 6 feet. I can't remember, but I was short in basketball terms, and I'm still salty that I did not hit the lottery on the family, on either side of my family. I did not get the tall gene. Well, I am tall, but I'm not tall for basketball terms, because like a lot of my uncles are like 6'3". My grandpa's like 6'4". On my dad's side, my grandpa on my mom's side was like 6'3", 6'4". And, my dad is like 6'1". My brother's 6'8". So we got the extreme version of that. And I'm just sitting here like, cool, I'm a 6 foot center in high school. Jared
Yeah,
Bayless.
man.
I remember Jared Bayless too. Looking at this draft again, I remember Brandon Roy and Jared Bayless, Charles Barkley, all the time would call them the future. Like he's like Jared Bayless and Brandon Roy. Those are going to be the next. That's going to be a great backcourt for the next decade, Ernie. And and Jared Bayless just ended up being a run of the mill rotation guard.
Well, so again, continue to look at this list. I forgot how much I loved this draft class. I was a big Darrell Arthur guy too.
Oh, Darrell Arthur. George, like this was a we might be looking at the 2020 NBA draft and might be looking at this as in the same way we do the 2008 draft, because there's a lot of legit role players on here and champions and guys who have been in deep playoff runs, like as part of legit in the rotation for good playoff teams.
Yeah, Omar Asik's in here, Mario Chalmers,
Omar Asik. Oh my God. Bull's favorite.
But yeah, like this is, these are good, man.
I think he was one of the poison pill contracts.
It's so funny, and we keep talking about this, but it's like you just have it's like when you're dating. It's like when you're dating, right? Like you just have a type. Like, man, when I look at NBA prospects, I have a type, man. Like I just know.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I really do want to see what Kuminga looks like on the. I don't think he's gonna crack the wing rotation this year, but he's huge.
Yeah,
like I didn't maybe like when he was with G League Ignite, there was a lot of like-sized players like him, and I didn't appreciate how huge he was. But he is fucking ginormous for a wing.
He's a long boy.
Like he's a long huge, boy. And he has an NBA ready body already. Like, and who knows? Like, if he's confined to a role early, and then he's allowed to work on his game off the court and stuff like that. Like,
if you keep the cum in a bucket.
Okay, I'm not. I want to kill that nickname. I really do. I want to kill it with fire. I feel bad for the kid. Like, I am never going to address him that way, ever. But
just wait until he makes the merch.
Oh my God, he's not good. There is no way and I'm waiting. We were talking about dumbass media questions earlier. I'm just waiting for the one guy who's going to ask that question. I'm just waiting, and it's going to be viral. Yeah, no, like, what do you think of the nickname Cum Bucket? And what do you? And I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for it. I have a different reaction to that nickname than everybody else did. I felt bad for the guy. I'm sorry.
Yo,
I don't want to be a turd. So I know it sounds like I'm being a turd in the punch bowl to everybody who thought that was funny, but like I looked at it and I was like, really, guys? Really? But
yeah, man, it's like we had Sex Love.
Sexland.
We had Sexland and we had Sex Love too.
Oh yeah, that I guess that would work also.
Yeah.
But we should end this podcast right now. Now we're just going into places that I don't even know where we're at this point. But
that's fair. All right. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks you guys for listening. And we appreciate everyone. We're obviously been taking breaks and here and there and been busy, but hopefully we'll get back to a regular schedule once the preseason starts and once we start getting more into training camp.
Training camp starts next month. It's kind of crazy.
Once Ben Simmons gets traded, all that stuff.
That'll be the day. Hopefully, and we can all.
We'll do an emergency We'll do an emergency podcast as soon as Ben Simmons gets traded. We'll talk about. We'll have Jordan go on his rants.
That's what this podcast needs, is more rants from me.
Yeah, he's gonna tell us why CJ McCollum is good for the 76ers.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
He's gonna tell us why CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic are perfect fits.
I do think CJ McCollum's getting underrated at this point, but I am not going to talk myself into CJ McCollum leading us to the promised land.
What if it's McCollum and Nurkic for Mr. Simmons?
Oh God. Oh yeah, Doc will definitely I made this joke earlier, but Doc is salivating at the fact that he's gonna be able to run an Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid front court. He's just, I'm just waiting for it. He's like, this is gonna work. We got two elite rebounders, Twin Towers. We're going back to big ball. I could just get Doc Rivers out of here, man. And that's how I'm gonna end this podcast. Get Doc Rivers out of here, man.
All right. Hashtag fire Doc. And we'll see you guys next week.
Hashtag the BOB.